What's up? Welcome everybody to Cut the Cap on your boy DL. I got my co-host IG. This is my mentor right here. And he my
Cut the
co
cap.
you know it's about to be fired. So let me just jump off the back. And this is a
Let's
question.
get it.
I'm not trying to I don't want anybody to take offense to anything that I'm saying. I'm just asking a question. So don't put any other thought into it. Just think about the question. I'm not attacking you. I just want to ask the question. If we were made in God's image as us and men, whose image was Eve made in?
Eve?
Do you think God had a wife? Do you think
That's a good
there was
question.
women in heaven? It's a lot of things that God uses metaphors that have to do with women, especially wisdom. And we know
Mhm.
now, we know women are smart. Everybody got a little knowledge to them. But then he also speak about adultery. And as he said in the Bible, everything that is done in heaven shall be done on earth. And we take an oath in there under God. And God made that clear that that is something that he respects and that needs to be done if you want to live in a kingdom and you want to live as Jesus did and so on and so forth. If it was done down here, my opinion, I think it was done in there. So do you think that God made all men angels? And they don't say that God made the angels. Don't say how he made them. He said they created everything. You created the baby. I created the baby. They don't get to touch on how it was done, how the creation was done. I guess our brains go to it was done because he's God. He's magical. He has all the powers to do it. But if we talk about what's done on in heaven shall be done on earth, I would think that he made his children with a woman. What you think
Mm.
about that?
So my thoughts would be, and I'm no Bible scholar, I know a little bit about the word, right? And as a man of God, but I'm no Bible scholar. So from my perspective, I believe when God made man in the image of him, he started with Adam, not Jesus. And so
Right.
I would say God, I would say there was no woman because God was good as who he is in himself. He didn't need a female. The woman came when he made man and he made Adam and saw that Adam would need a helpmate. It wasn't with Jesus because Jesus left his family and said, I got to go handle my daddy's business. He left his mom, father, went out and did his thing, 12, 13 years old. And Jesus didn't need a woman, right? He went around saving people. The women was touching his garments. They liked him. They loved him. But I believe the woman came on the scene according to the Bible with Adam, right? And so God saw Adam and say, as now God made man in the image of him and said, Adam needs a helpmate. And that's when Eve came along. And so in the short version for me, I believe that's when the woman came on the scene. God took, from the rib, made a female, made woman, female, one man, whoa man. And that's when women came on the scene. God didn't have there was no female version of God. It was God, Jesus, and then man, and then with man came a woman.
Have you ever came across the Ethiopian Bible?
I
Have you
have
ever
not. Nope,
have you
nope.
heard
I
it?
have
Have you
not.
heard about it though?
Not really. Nope.
You never
Again,
heard
I'm no
about it?
scholar. I just know about the regular Christian Bible and
And I'm definitely no scholar, but I seek knowledge. I
yeah.
got questions I want to really answer, especially if the answer is kind of there, then wait it off. I want to know. God
Yeah.
likes to seek knowledge. He wants everybody to be knowledgeable, especially of him. And so
Yeah.
if everybody comes from him, I want to know everything about his Jesus and everything because that comes from him. So in the Ethiopian Bible, it doesn't go from Jesus being born to Jesus was a man. They speak on his journey.
Hmm.
They speak on his journey. They speak that he went to Egypt to learn it. He was up there in India. He was up in a lot of different spots. Now I'm paraphrasing, so I might be saying the wrong thing, but what I'm leading to and what I'm trying to get at did happen. I think that some of the stuff was left out because I can't even say why it was left out. People got ulterior motives, and
Yeah.
but it's just hard for me to believe that God created all men angels. If a woman is giving birth, did a man came up with that? Like we got everything that If we in this image from the head to the toe, man, that's a man. We
Yeah.
got a woman over here. How do and then it's just a question I'm just asking, I'm just seeking knowledge. I'm not trying to play devil's advocate, I'm just seeking knowledge. How was
Yeah.
a woman who gives birth, who breastfeeds, who uh who is considered knowledge and wisdom in the Bible? How did that come about? Where was the image? How do you take you take all the things that women can do and you put it inside of a woman without having a woman as an image to do it with? And that's just a question I have any Bible scholars out there. I just want to know.
Yeah. Yeah,
I
let
don't
us know
want
what
to
y'all think in the comments, man. Any Bible scholars out there, drop them comments in the comment section. That's a good question, man. Again, and people like you, as a friend, make me want to study and learn more to be able to answer these questions. Every now and then, we run into people that has, and it's okay and it's good to have that mindset to want to dig deep and want to gain understanding. That's good. And I
absolutely.
follow Jesus Christ. That's all I know. I don't go back and forth with people at all. We all have free will, and you're here to believe whatever you want to believe. And there's a lot if you do, research and the more you do research, it can get scary, right? Because it can
Yeah.
get twisted and all that. But let me ask you this. Let me segue into this for the viewers as well. Do you value intellectual over spiritual or spiritual over intellectual? And what I'm saying is a lot of times, because a lot of times those really super smart people, they're so smart that they're not their spirit man is neglected because they again, so and we have to be careful. But back to the question, what do you value, DL,
So
more?
and I
Intellectual or spirit?
I get exactly what you're talking about because intellectual men, they'll put uh science versus spiritual, and they'll
Yeah,
try to cut everything out spiritually and give you a scientific definition of why things are.
yeah.
But I think having intellect um will be more important than spiritual because that's what you're gonna seek your spirituality with is intellect. You wanna know what's going on, you wanna be knowledgeable about something, you're gonna wanna know about the spiritual. So I think that they're
Not
kind of one
necessarily though. Not
well,
nec-
I'm just
because
saying, but
like
that
you
is
just said, intellect sometimes can be so smart that they don't think they don't believe in all that, you know?
right. Absolutely. And I'm not saying that one shoe fits all. I'm just saying
Yeah.
it can become one and the same. And it can branch off to that to where I can prove scientifically God or Jesus never existed. But at the same
Yeah.
time, when you seek your intellect and you seek your knowledge, and you seek your knowledge into the spirituality, it's going to help you grow that way. Or it can help you grow the other way because you just found some scientific evidence, or you think you found some scientific evidence that it can explain whatever it is you wonder about. So,
Yeah.
I guess
I like your answer though, because I see where
yeah,
you're going. And
I
it's like one I was gonna say from the spirit, man. The spirit. See the difference, in my opinion, what the spirit has that the intellect don't have is the humility, right? The
right.
intellect can be so damn sharp that they arrogant and you can't tell them nothing and they're
Yes,
proud. See,
absolutely.
the spirit man is humble enough to be receptive and receive. A lot of people that's very intellectual never really find God, unfortunately, or never really accept him holistically because they too smart for their own good.
Well, let
And
me ask
God has a way of getting our attention, hopefully
you,
rather sooner than later,
absolutely.
right? But for me, and again, I like this because, and we want to hear what y'all think in the comments because these are those topics that good debates. And again, I'm gonna always go with the spirit, man. And thank God I have a little intellect as well, but I'm not too
Absolutely.
smart to think that I don't need God. You know what I mean? So that
Absolutely. And to piggyback off of that, your being spiritual over intellect can probably give you more intellect. Is like like yeah, you're
yeah,
spiritual and you so when you get spiritual, you meditate and you're seeking something different. It's all knowledge, it's all intellect, but you took the
yeah,
spirituality road to intellect.
yeah.
Whereas some people might take
You
the
more
intellect,
open.
right? And yeah, you're more open, you're more like, hey, it's not this, it's not that, because
'Cause
as you
one thing
grew up
about
like him,
intellectual people, I got a friend that's very sharp, but he needs everything black. He needs it black and white,
yes,
black and white. And the
And
word of
everything is
God
black and
says,
white.
walk by faith, not by sight.
Right.
So a lot of things, if you really following God's word, a lot of times that hope and that faith, we don't see it right away. I've been
Yeah.
in situations to where, and again, I can only speak from my own experiences. That's why to hear somebody testimony is dope, because once you get your own revelation, your testimony, now you know what works for you. And so
Yeah.
I've been attacked. I've been in situations to where only God could have brought me out, only him. And so and so back to our point though, sometimes you could people that's so intellectual, they want you to prove they need to see it in black and white. It got to be tangible. So therefore they faith and they spirit man is suffering. You know what I'm saying? Because
Yeah.
they won't, you know what I mean? And that's just my
But again,
opinion on it.
they
Hopefully
dismissed
somebody
everything spiritually. Yeah, they dismisses everything, and
they dismiss it.
and
Yeah. Because they gonna say, how
absolutely,
you know God really, whoever saw
how
God,
good
who all
that
this
have
and that,
been. Absolutely, absolutely.
they need tangible evidence.
Yeah. Yes,
And I
because
get that. I get it.
the society has kind of got us to believe that if they said it wasn't true, it wasn't true. And
Yeah.
that like the people back in the day, they were smart. They were way smarter than us. And we
Yeah.
think in this generation that they was dumb, and you know what I'm saying? That's why they, they disapprove of the flat earth math, because they're like, oh, those guys who are smart enough, they didn't have the technology or the knowledge that we have
Mm.
today. But then they don't even know how the pyramids was built. Math
Yeah.
was created by them. These people back in the day are building pyramids and they're aligned with the stars. You need math and geometry to do that. They can't even align a building with all the technology they got. So, they
Yeah.
pick and choose what they want to discredit, and
Yeah.
they smart with it. And keep on putting it in your brain from kindergarten all the way up to 4th grade, to where the things that really did happen, you got over it down yourself. Like, no, it didn't happen.
Yeah.
That that's what that is.
But yeah, the mind is a powerful thing, man, and perspective goes a long way. But everything that man get his hands on, we're gonna remix, we're gonna corrupt it, unfortunately, right? You think about you could see somebody could see me in the car giving a girl a ride from work, and they may make a whole perspective and speculation and
Right.
say, you know what I'm saying? Who's that in
Yep.
this car? He
Absolutely.
cheating on this girl.
Absolutely.
You know what I mean? So man, and I thank God I've never been a small-minded person. And that's by the grace of God. I always kind of had a gift to not look at little stuff and just see it for be petty like that.
Right.
Small, that's the only way I could describe this. Small-minded is probably a better word. But I'm saying I've always kind of looked at the bigger picture and not just focus on small things. So I don't right away just see something and say, "Oh, he cheating." That's
Yeah,
real
yeah,
simple minded.
yeah.
That's a
It's like 2
simple-minded
people see the
person.
same thing. 2 people see the same thing and come up with different ways of how they think. And
Remember they showed us that picture in school, they that drawing, you probably saw it in prison too, that drawing of that lady, that black and white it's a black and white drawing of a picture that school show. I saw it at work, and it just shows you how one person sees it this way, the next person gonna see something totally
yeah,
different,
and
you know?
that goes. So when you reading the Ethiopian Bible,
Yeah.
you find out that Jesus was seeking knowledge. He was seeking knowledge. They covered the gap, and his knowledge, him seeking knowledge, he was also teaching spirituality. So his
Yeah.
knowledge was able to go and learn that. He was learning from people. He was learning, and he was trying to
I-
put that in us to be like, hey, basically,
Yeah.
you got confidence in yourself. You can do this. You don't have to be with somebody else, and that's what was being spoken like Jesus. So us in this age, we're taught, and our kids that is growing up now probably getting it the worst because the internet is here. But we're taught to think a certain way, and they're gonna pump it in your head, and then you're gonna start asking yourself questions about like, was I taught right? As far as
Right.
the Bible and stuff, and it gets real deep. I want to go down that
Yeah, it
rabbit
can get real
hole.
tricky. Yeah, it can. Because depending on how you was raised and brought up. And so I
Right.
just gotta be thankful that my mom instilled, Jesus Christ in me as a believer. And so I'm just thankful for that. Cause yeah, some people could have been brought up in homes where they had cult families or whatever, or devil worshippers or atheists or whatever, and that's all they know. That's all they know. And so, but I believe God gives us all a window at some point in our life. I believe that, at some point you got a choice to make because
Yeah,
God is free will. It's a free will. So I think we all have an encounter, whether you locked up and you sitting in that cell and now you just met
yeah,
this believer, or whether you got in a car accident and you met the believer in the hospital, the nurse ministered to you. God gonna always present and send that vessel to that individual, some form or fashion, whether they receive it or not. It's on them. You know what I'm saying?
and as and especially when I was locked up, man, you'll lose your faith. You'll
Yeah.
lose your faith. You lose a lot.
Mhm.
You lose a lot, and you feel bad, and you get down, and that's your Lord self speaking to you, trying to keep
Right.
you. But when
But
I
let me
look
ask you
back,
this though. Let me ask you this to that before you keep going. And again, I've never been in, I've been, in and out the juvie systems and all that. Never, only place I didn't go is to the penitentiary. But one thing, I've always been an accountable person. And me
right,
knowing your situation and other people's situations, right? And I'm not saying you, just in general. Why are you mad at God now when you made the choice, right? Not you,
right,
just in general. So to your point, we make a bad decision, we get locked up, and now we're in there, we mad at God. Now,
yeah,
somebody that's just in there that didn't do anything and they're really innocent, I definitely can understand they trial and tribulation of that
right,
faith. I can get that. But for people that commit the crime, come on, bro. Now, again, this ain't to you, bro. I'm just saying in general. That's a
and
lack
then
of accountability as an
it is that's
individual. And
your
us
lack of
growing up in the streets, everything, when I
yeah,
was in the streets, everything we did, we know what it came with. And so this
yeah,
is, I say this too, and I say this all due respect to a lot of moms and parents when your kids is in the streets. When I was in the streets, anything that was gonna happen to me, it comes with the territory. I get
yeah,
it, that's your baby and all that. But if your baby out shooting at people and then your baby gets murdered, unfortunately, they was, and that's again, that's
yeah. That's
respectfully
the
and
lifestyle
love
that you
for
from.
anybody that lost their
Absolutely,
baby. But when your
absolutely.
child is in the streets, it comes with the territory, unfortunately. So we got to do better as parents, be proactive, and try not to raise them in those environments.
Yeah,
That's the way to
and
get
that
ahead of.
absolutely, and, I can say for sure that, my situation and what I got myself in, I never blame God. I never blame him because, I can't say for sure when it happened, but I feel like I always been one of the people to take accountability for my actions.
So you never lost your faith?
I lost my faith, but I never blamed God for my situation.
So why did you lose your faith? Explain to me how when you say
Well,
you lost your faith.
it's so when you get locked up, man, sometimes you go months and years without hearing from people.
Mhm.
People don't send you money, people don't send you cards, and that hurts. You know what I'm saying? But
Yeah,
we gotta mask that, we gotta keep up. Some people show their emotions differently, you know what I'm saying? They'll be hurting the inside, and they'll blame everybody for everything, then they'll go out here on the yard and crash out. But me,
right.
and I can't I was blessed. I was blessed with the people in my life. Uh, my dad, relatives, Joe, Nana, like a lot of people, they read like they came through. So I can't really speak on everybody else, but at a certain point in time, like you'll look at your, it's just the
But
way
is
that the
that losing is
thinking is.
that losing faith going to crash out? Like, yo, let's stick to your particular situation. Is a person losing faith or they just kind of you feel like people I guess it's not your situation, but when you get into that, losing faith would be saying getting mad at God, or do you just mad because people, man, has now neglected you. You in prison, and now God is showing you, the world is showing you who really rock with you, who who really love you, and all this and that. The faith part come in when you start to blaming God for whatever, right? Getting
Right,
in your feelings, saying, "Well, my child," and I get it. I've been there, right? As a
yeah,
kid, I used to be locked
right,
up. I was never mad at. I never lost faith. But I did used to question God, why am I going through this? I'm really a good kid,
absolutely.
but I didn't
Exactly,
lose it,
and,
because
and that's
losing
what it,
faith, I think losing faith is when you lose your whole touch and say, God, and this is just my personal opinion. Losing the faith is when you've lost all hope and you no longer believe that God is there with you, right? I know God was always with me, but as a kid, I was just like, why am I going through this? Now 30, 40 years later, 30 years later, I know why I went through it. I'm here today.
Yeah,
God was keeping me. You know what I'm saying?
absolutely.
You
And
know,
I
so
feel like,
losing, yeah, that's just my take on losing the faith. I think what happens
right,
is some people do, but I think what the way you
and then,
explaining it, people get in their feelings just about the outside and they start to blame, they start to really feel sorry for themselves. Carney taught me that.
yeah,
They're
yeah,
feeling
that's
sorry for
exactly that.
themselves. Yep.
You know, I can sit up here today, and every time somebody, I talk to somebody about what I had to go through, I tell them that I appreciate it because it made me understand how valuable life was. Because I
100,
know what
100.
was going on, and I know
Yeah.
while I was gone, all the people that I lost. So I
Yeah.
wasn't gonna be one of them. I'm gonna be another guy that was doing
You know what I'm
life
saying?
behind themselves.
Right.
So I sit up there, but like I didn't want to do this, but I learned so
Right.
much in prison that I'm
You appreciate
appreciative
it.
of. Yeah, I appreciate it
That
because
part.
he sat me down. He knew who I was. He know where I'm been to, and
Now let me say this. An intellectual won't think that way.
I think a person that's intellectually in tune with spirituality would.
But right, right. But I'm take the spirituality out. A
Okay.
person that's just too intellectual, they're not going to say what you said. You just said God kept me. In other
Yeah.
words, God kept me through a crazy situation, but that was
Yeah.
God. That shows that you got a spiritual connect. An intellectual, they're not going to give God that glory. That you know what I'm saying? Back to
And
what we
at the,
said.
at the same time, so when I was locked up, I didn't act like I was locked up. I laughed, I did jokes. I joke all the time. I'm
Yeah,
still the
yeah.
same person that I was when I went in there.
You didn't
So
let it break you. Yes, sir.
I didn't let them break me, but you still get down on yourself and you ask God why. I didn't
Yeah.
learn what I just expressed to you about how He saved me. I didn't realize that until I got out.
Later,
You know what I'm
100%. You
saying?
don't
Like
realize it in it's there.
I can't say that I understood that during the time, but at the same time as I'm doing the time, I didn't blame him,
Yeah.
but I didn't see that he sat me down either until I got out looking at it. And then maybe I did happen when I was in there. But
And a lot of times, bro, we don't see it then, especially mentally where how old you were. Yo, you
yeah,
weren't mature enough. If you
right,
going at, but really it's your spirit, man, regardless of when you saw it, you see it now, you still alive, and you gave God the glory to say at the end of the day, God had kept me because look how many people died. Look what I learned. You telling me, you telling the viewers that you appreciate the bid you did because God was keeping you. Intellectual don't think along those terms because they don't see God like that.
yeah, those are what we call pragmatic thinkers. They need evidence. They need they need graphs.
Right.
They need something that can point
Yeah.
to this. And if it,
Yeah.
and when you're a pragmatic thinker, and we are pragmatic thinkers, but as far as men, but this type of pragmatic thinker is when it comes to intellect, they need to see something physically there to help prove what they're
Yeah.
thinking and the decision they came up with. And if they can't sit here and see God and prove that this was behind him, they're going to blame it on karma. They're going to blame it on chance.
That's
They're
right.
gonna give it to luck.
Right.
They're gonna use
Yeah.
all that stuff.
And
But
that's your right. To your point, they're gonna blame a lot of
yeah,
us, and that's what's wrong with our culture a
right.
lot. We looking for people to blame. And like they say, when you point the finger, you got three of them coming back at you. You
There's
know? And
definitely
so
three.
to my
I'm
people
counting.
out there, to the viewers, to the people, my boy, people that's from the streets that know us, man, we gotta stop blaming folks. No, it's nobody's fault. Now again, some people just got dealt some bad cards and ended up in prison on
Yeah,
and we were not talking about them. We talking about
yeah,
us folks that know you was doing something wrong. You got
right,
locked up. Go do
right.
your times. Come home. God gave you another chance. Get busy living or get busy
Yeah,
dying.
it
You
absolutely,
know,
man. I'm just gonna change, man.
no doubt, no doubt. So it worked out for you, bro. Right? Had you not went in there, you may not be here today. You may not have got the lesson
I
that you
kind of
needed to
feel
learn.
like every young man needs to go in there and do about 5 years because you need to. Well, I say that to say this because when you're out here and you living your life, you doing what you want to do, you take everything for granted. Now, when you get
Yeah,
taken to a place to where you don't own your life no more, you get to see how valuable everything that you had was, and you can't take it for
man.
granted. And I'm talking about just getting on the bus.
Getting on
I
the
was not
using your own toilet.
yeah. It's a lot of things
Come
that you
on.
took for granted, and you gotta sit back
Right.
as a man. And you gotta be able to accept that accountability.
But 5 years is a long time, bro. Maybe 1 year. He said 5.
Well, I say 5 years. I've seen people come in there and do 2, 3 years, get
Come
out,
right
and do
back.
3 more, come back with a life sentence. So you know, like
Yeah, they didn't
some of
learn
the,
nothing.
I mean, you know, like you need something to break you off.
Yeah,
You
yeah.
need something to break you off to really
You
understand if that 3 years didn't do nothing for you. Well, that's just this individual. I think 3 years would have did me, but shit, goddamn, they 18 did it even better. And you know, and then like I got a whole different perspective. Like, I got a
That's
whole
how
different,
many you did total?
yes, yes.
You did 18, bro?
I did 18, dog.
Yeah, I knew you did a big number.
Yeah,
I
then
forgot. Yeah.
15. Then when I went back, dog, I was so embarrassed. I was so hurt that I let so many people down.
Yeah.
Brother, when you asked me, would I talk to you again when I got out, dog? I I was ashamed to tell you that I messed up because
Yeah,
I
yeah,
know who
yeah.
I was as a person, and I know that I wasn't supposed to come back to the I carried it when I was in there. I took all the
So
right steps to make sure when I go see this board, I'm getting out on the day that I'm trying to get out of, and I did that. And then I went back 6 months later, dog. I was depressed. I was depressed,
man. So let me
and you
ask you
know,
this, man. I don't think I ever talked to nobody that did a big number like that and went back. I was in Kearney and I saw a lot of people leave, come back with kids. But to did that number, when you went back and saw them same cats in there, how was that? How was those conversations, bro?
man. So with certain people, and everybody got different personalities. Everybody is looked at differently. So for me, somebody who was walking the straight path. You know, I said I made it my business not to get into no gang shit. I'm not about to go that way. And even when my homie was dying out there, it was dying by the hands of these guys that was right here. So now
Mhm.
you're in a situation to where everybody looking at you like, what you gonna do? And you
That's
gotta
yeah.
take that on the chin because it's a bigger mission. Do what you
God.
want to do. Do you want to go and let motherfucker know what it is? So you know what it is. It's the type of time everybody on. Or do
Right,
you
right.
say, you know what? I'm getting out, you ain't, and I'm just gonna keep on walking this path. But it's something you gotta take on the chin. You gotta take
Mm,
that thing on the chin, and that hits your pride and
that's
all that
real.
stuff. So it takes a special type of person, man, to be like,
Yeah.
and that's what I did. So people looked at me and going like, "Yeah, they coming back," because of how I carried it in there. I wasn't getting fired up. I had a job at there, man. I was making $10 an hour.
Yeah,
I
yeah,
make
yeah.
$10 an hour. I was getting break. Then when I
Yeah.
came back, dog, I was embarrassed.
Well,
I
I
was
can imagine.
embarrassed, dog, and I had to explain the situation. And then I go from being on the street talking about bills and probably get my car fixed to coming back to the joint talking about tokens and commissary. That killed. That killed.
I know them lifers was looking at you like, fool, you went home and came back.
Man, they was some of it was, but you know, people still know, and you know, like sometimes shit happen, and you know what I'm saying? Like sometimes shit happen, man, you know, and I was embarrassed. So whatever they thought, and I accept that, but you know, I was embarrassed, dog. I was hurt. I didn't want to tell my older homie Rue I was locked up. It's a lot of people I didn't want to tell, dog. I was embarrassed because everybody had this faith in me, dog, that I wasn't coming back, and I did.
Dang,
And
that's deep.
I stayed for 3 years. I still got 7 years on parole. They could have kept me for however long they wanted. And
You
that was
off
the scary
everything
part.
now?
No,
You still
no,
on,
still
bro?
got 7 more. I got 6, 7 more years on parole. And
Oh,
that shit was
damn.
in the back of the mind, man. I could do it. I'm out here, man. I can live it because I ain't doing nothing illegal. So me
Right,
doing
fact.
7 years on parole don't mean shit. I just
Right,
be
right.
I'm not doing anything illegal. When you doing
You
something
gotta
illegal,
fly straight, bro. You gotta fly straight though.
absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah,
That's, well, man, thank God you out in the mindset. It's all about renewing the mind, man. That's a deep testimony, bro. I didn't Yeah, that's deep, man. That's deep. So look, man, let's segue, man. You know it's cap when what? Give me something.
Man, you know it's cap when you know it's cap when somebody say they ain't true, but they really
What
true.
right, right.
You
That's
know
a
it's
good
cap
one,
when
man.
somebody say,
Right,
yeah,
right. Yeah, yeah.
I'm true.
You know it's cap when you selling some on Facebook Marketplace, man. I don't know if you ever sold anything on Facebook Marketplace.
I have
It
it.
be so many, it be so many people capping. Like you may have some. I just sold my one of my Jeeps recently. You may have some for sale, say 5,000. They come on there, I give you 4,000 right now, and you be like, bet, let's do it. And they don't, and then crickets. Stop all the capping, man.
Hey, you do is cap with everybody. We you on Facebook and you out here in, in every city state having a blast, and you really know you broke and you ain't got the money to be doing it, but you definitely flashed and making it look good. Now you got the whole world
100%.
beating you up.
Oh
No,
man, that social media something else. Everybody
that's
capping.
everybody.
Well, look, man, let's write this and cut the cap, man. Thanks for having me on the show. Thank y'all viewers for coming
Absolutely,
out. And let's do it
man.
again, bro.
Yes, man, it's gonna be coming real soon, man. I'm a perfectionist, so I want everything when it come out rolling out, man. I wanted to come roll out like I put some D's on. I need
Put
to
some
come out in
D's
the
on it.
but it's coming
Yes, sir.
soon. Tap back
Y'all make
in.
sure
This is
y'all
Cut the
tune in,
Cap.
man.
Yeah,
Leave
you
it,
got
subscribe to the channel, like and subscribe, leave some comments in the group chat, man. We'll see y'all soon. Cut the cap though.
We out.